All right. Well, I am excited because our guest is an awesome person who has grown his company very quickly in the last 6 or 7 years. Tertius, is it? When did you launch your company?
That's correct, Darren. Thank you, guys. First of all, for the opportunity. It's nice to virtually be able to meet you guys. So a little bit of background. I started the business in 2015, so that's roughly 7 years ago. And the aim at that point, or the vision that I had at that point, was to give some authors a platform where we could potentially turn their books or their manuscript into books. I believe in South Africa especially, we are rich in culture and rich in stories. And I wanted to capture those stories and put it in book forms and almost help them to earn some money out of those stories. So yeah, basically that's how I started 7 years ago. And we're still standing here today.
I should say I think you've gone from what, 4 people at the beginning to 60 some now. That's quite a fast growth track. I'm sure sparked to some degree by digital print. But I have a question before we get into maybe the digital print side. I'm fascinated by what I've learned about you so far in that it seems like you have a real passion for not just what you print, but who you're printing for. The recipients of these books, for instance.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're children, sometimes they're families, sometimes they're small businesses. Can you talk about sort of the passion for enabling that, for empowering people to share their message, share their story through digital print?
Yeah, Darren, I think maybe let's say this, and maybe I didn't know it as a young child, but the other day I had to speak to my staff, and something came to mind. Is every single night when I put my head to rest, my headboard, pardon me, was a bookshelf. And I physically went to put my head between all these books at night. And growing up, there was no significant. My mom and my dad was both readers. They loved books and they loved reading. And I think maybe through these years, that smell of paper and the physical books maybe resonated somewhere with me. And maybe in the back of my mind, that always stuck with me. So, as I said, 7 years ago, when I started this business, I looked at a way and mean as how could I potentially give back to the community? How could I go to the community and say, but give me your book, give me your stories, let's put it in a book form, because I do not know if my story will impact Darren or Chris. And I think maybe sometimes from a publisher point of view, we easily say no to certain things, but it's how impactful that's going to be. So that's where I started. And an example that I would like to make is that it was last year, November, I think October, don't quote me on the month, there was a boy that I think his eyesight was maybe 10-15%, that walked into our doors and he said, you know what, I would like to publish my own book. And he had a little story about himself and what his challenges in life is, and he put it in a book form. And that, I think, is the beauty. As soon as you've been able to digitally print a handful of books, 10, 50 books that he could distribute between his friends and his family, and we then managed to upload it onto our platforms. That's the thing that touches me, and I think all of us here at Print on Demand enjoys to see how we change those lives. And like you just rightfully said, I think the equipment enable us to do these things quite easily nowadays. So yeah.
There's still magic, isn't there, in holding a physical book that tells a story. I mean, from a very simple perspective, there is magic in print, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah. You know, also, I think just to maybe touch on that point, I find that especially in South Africa, there's a big drive for this online teaching, and everything needs to be electronics. But yet again, if you look at the children that, let's call it, almost overperform in some cases, I want to be as bold, and I know there will be people that's going to slap me over the fingers, but I think the ones that still work with a physical book and make actual pencil marks in the books and highlight it, and they just adapt to the learnings easier in some cases because it's less of a distraction. So no, I'm very much for it. I'm for paper. I'm for the actual printed book. Yeah, I love it.
Are you surprised at your growth, at how quickly your idea, your vision caught on?
Chris, to be quite honest with you, I won't say I didn't expect it. But here behind me, you can see, as a business owner, I had to reflect on, and I call this my board of directors. Look at what made them successful in life. And I think all of them, there is something that stood out. And I took a little bit of, let's call it, their golden nuggets, and I try to apply it in my own business every year. Now I'm busy with my next 3-year vision that I'm busy drafting up, that I want to present to the team. But there's a lot of value in guys that has made it. And if we just really put our ears to it and we take those golden nuggets, it's still very much applicable in today's life. So yes, like Darren was saying earlier, we started as 4 members. Today we're 64. We started in a 64 square meter office. That's the equivalent of a double garage. And today we house 3,000 square meters, state-of-the-art equipment. And also I think the beauty of the business is we're moving with times. I no longer refer to print on demand as a printing company, but it's a technology company. And I think that's the important factor for me is the software, the equipment that we have that powers this business, that's the heartbeat, enable us to do more than just the actual print. I think that's the easiest thing.
You mentioned the wall behind you and the inspirational figures watching over you right now. Literally, you have a much better background than Chris or me. That's for sure. Can you share an example of one of the people hanging on that wall and the inspiration that he or she has given you?
So let me quickly give you guys just an overview. For some of you will notice, or some of these faces is quite familiar to you. So this is the board of directors. But I think if there's one quote, and that will be right on the top. I'm going to see if I can point my finger quickly. Where's my finger? That person there is the late Mr. Nelson Mandela, our old president. And I think one quote that I in particular love about that is that education is the most powerful weapon which can be used to change the world. And I think especially for me in the industry that I'm in, and using print as a vehicle to assist with the education, that's something that I strongly believe in, is that we at least play a part in that, into educating our younger generation, and to hopefully through that build a community and the next generation leaders. So yeah, the late Mr. Nelson Mandela, if you ask me for a quote offhand, most probably will be from him.
That's a cool idea.
I love that.
Chris and I were talking before this call about, we want to ask you about the demand for books and other printed material. I mean, I'm sure it takes a smart board of directors in your case, and a smart brain from you, and a great team, I'm sure, to propel your growth. But it also takes the desire among clients and customers to buy the stuff that comes out off the press. Could you share a little perspective about what that demand is like in South Africa for printed material?
Yes, Darren, I think, again, I think it maybe comes down to being a thought leader. And this morning, and I don't want to deviate from the question, but I just want to put it in perspective. I was speaking to my team because we at the verge of going live with a big retail company in South Africa, where we're really going to deliver on-demand service, where overnight we will print books and then next morning ship it off to the individual, of which I know it's already successfully being managed worldwide. But in South Africa, that's something new. So this example I was making to my team this morning was, let's take Elon Musk. When Elon Musk walked into his boardroom the first day and said, guys, I'm sending a space shuttle to Mars, I think a lot of that guys had to say, you crazy. There's something not right. And I think the same is here for us in the South African context. When I walked into the boardroom and said, guys, I'm changing this business from being a print service provider to a technology-driven business that's going to create platforms that's going to enable normal writers and authors to create smaller, or let's call it writing businesses through our applications and software. And we're potentially going to sell their books online and through the use of our technology, deliver that fast demand based. They also had to think you crazy. But yet again, we stand here today on the eve of going live with a massive retail company. And it's that sense of satisfaction to know that, through partnerships with the guys that we got technology with, it has enabled us to do this easier than expected. If we look back at old technology and your normal litho printing, it wouldn't have been this easy. These days, the technology enables us to do certain things easier, and that's what's exciting me. And again, it comes down to the 3-year vision. What's going to be the next thing that we can work on that's going to make a difference? So yeah, very much excited for it.
A couple of years ago, you gave a great virtual tour of your company during COVID for an event that D-Scoop put on called Edge Fusion. So thank you for doing that. That was an interesting 20-minute video. In that video, when you were talking about your future growth, you mentioned this idea of a book of one. A book of one. Can you share with everyone what that is?
Yeah, so basically that's just what I was dabbing at. Is book of one is that my aim is to build the biggest book library in Africa, where we will house titles and any person can come online, and we will work with major retail companies where the list of titles will be available. Someone can go online, place an order for those titles. We will then print it overnight, like one book of a specific title. And then the next morning, we will ship it off to the individual person. So, and I think that's the beauty, is that we no longer need to print volume of a certain thing, but we can now just print one copy of a book, bind one copy, and then distribute it to the end customer.
Wow. So operations and automation must be an amazing part of your day and planning.
Yes, Chris. I think it's maybe the thing that gave me a lot of my gray hair is the fact that now we need to work with this automation, and again we must remember it's almost just a machine. We still need to program it. We must still feed in the information, or at least what our strategy is to get it out. But it's definitely assisting us. It's that vehicle in making our lives much easier. And again, through partnerships with various technology or software companies, it has enabled us to do what we do successfully, or would like to believe that it's successful what we do, and then also easier than most.
Now, your planning methodology, when you do this 3-year vision, can you give me an idea of how you approach that? I'm just really curious into, like, do you lock yourself in a room and just pound out, okay, here's what I'm thinking? What goes into that process?
I wish I could screen share my calendar for you, but I've pretty much booked out the 25th of January. So my morning will start at 4:30. I will wake up. I will get into the car and I will drive to Table Mountain. I will do a 45 to an hour hike to the top of the mountain, and I will sit there and wait till the sun comes up. And I think when I'm there and the sun comes up, I will really just start, first of all, drafting down the achievements of the company, what's been successful, what was the challenges. Then I would look at what do I perceive the future of print will be, or for the company of that we have, and I will dot that down. Then look at the team that I will need to basically help me to expand in that direction. And then I would look into departmentals. I would look at the key structure of the department. I will look at marketing, what vehicles, what technology we will need for that. And after I got my framework done, and that's what I've done in the past, I will then come internally and I would present that to the team and ask each of them then to contribute to that. Because I believe a business like this is not just due to me, but it's all 64 people that's part of this organization that has contributed. And I think sometimes the oversight that one will make is that even the guys on the floor running the actual machines got so much value to add because they work daily with what we do. We sit here in our ivory towers and we just like to shout down what we think is best, but they're in actual fact doing the actual work. So it's good to get their insight also, and then we will have a massive team day afterwards discussing it, and that's when I will print an actual document and hand it over to say, guys, this is the plan for the next 3 years. Let's focus on the first year, see how much of this we can add, and then hopefully in year 2, things that we failed on, we can try and make it better. Or maybe it was just a bad idea and we just move it off and then we move on to the next one.
It's interesting how that begins. Are you excited about taking that hike?
Super excited. In actual fact, I wish the 25th can be here tomorrow. It's always nice to just be one with nature and really understand how small you are in the bigger scheme of things. And I think that's why I choose to hike up to the top of Table Mountain. For you that have seen photos of it, it's just very majestical to walk up and get to the top. And as soon as that sun rises, that's unbelievable sight.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to do a Google search and check that out.
I know. Well, you might have to go to bed a little early the night before, but I think you can. I think that sounds good.
Yeah,
I think that's that sounds amazing, inspirational journey. Yeah. I have a question about your team. You've mentioned your team a couple of times. Certainly, you couldn't have grown without great people in the last 5 or 6 years. A lot of even growing businesses here in the United States are having a big problem finding qualified people that they can train and promote and retain. Is that a problem for you? How have you found 60 qualified people who are doing the work as you described before? Can you share any tidbits about your hiring or retention process? Because that's quite an impressive number.
Yeah, Darren, to be quite honest with you, I don't have the magic formula for it. It's really been through blood, sweat, and tears, if I can make that analogy. I think one thing that I always like to point out is, as long as you believe in your team and you're willing to educate them on that path of growth, you can build a strong team. Majority of the team members that we have let's take the guys that run our inkjet solutions. They most probably at one stage in their lives could not operate a computer. But does it make them a better or a worse operator? I don't think so. It's giving them the ability and aiding them and making them understand what's in it for them in the future also. That's important. And I think once the staff, and I'm speaking for myself now, can see that you building a business with them and you empowering them, you're building a better culture. And then what we are doing also from a business is when we now make the vision for the year, or when we announce the vision for the year, then we arrange a big team day where all 64 people join in, and we arrange a fun day. But then thereafter, monthly, if you go onto our social media, you will see it. Monthly, we will have a team day where we would take a certain topic. Let's talk about accountability or innovation or whatever the topic might be. And we will talk about it and make the team members step up and speak and really buy into the culture. And I think once you can build that strong culture and you know that the team member that you work with got your back, you soon realize that they're inseparable. They work well together. Yes, there will be teething problems, and sometimes we want to throw each other out by the window, but in good spirit, there's someone at the bottom catching them, and it's just successfully over the last 7 years has worked. So yeah, I don't think there's a very easy answer to this one.
Oh, I think I have the answer. I'm seeing, just from the short time talking with you, I feel the collaborative aspect to how you lead, the transparency, and the good-naturedness and humility. And maybe I'm reading too much into this very short conversation, but what do you attribute your style to? Because where do you think that came from? Because it seems to be working for you.
Chris, thanks. I really appreciate it. There's two motivational speeches that has really touched me, and there's one by Denzel Washington where he was speaking to the graduates, and he was saying something very profound. And he was saying, at night when you go to bed, make sure you put your slippers way under the bed, so that when you get up in the morning, you must go on your knees and you must reach for your slippers. And while you go onto your knees, remember to say thanks and be thankful for what you have. And I think that's something that I would very much like to contribute to the success of this business, is that it's everything that we have today can be taken away tomorrow quite easily. We've seen many successful companies close their doors during COVID. But I would like to believe that we go on our knees and we're thankful and grateful for what we have, and I think that's the thing that has helped me to this point. And then there's my motivational speaker. His name is Les Brown. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to any of his speeches, but Les Brown got a saying where he says, if life knocks you down, make sure that you land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And that's something that I also contribute every day to. Life is not going to be easy. Business is not going to be easy. There's going to be multiple challenges that we face. But when we do go down, and just make sure you lay on your back, look at the beauty of the stars and admire the scenery around you. And then when you get up, you put that fighting spirit back in your pocket and you carry on.
Awesome.
I love it. That's a great answer. I have to get slippers, Chris. I don't have any. My mindset would be improve if my feet were warmer. I think that's what I've learned during this conversation. Well, and Nelson Mandela, I think one of his other quotes is like a winner is a dreamer who never gives up.
Yes.
Basically, that's the same kind of mentality. It really does feel like your positivity matters uh, to the growth of your company. It's an inspirational thing. I'm wondering if D-Scoop matters to you. Um, there's a lot of people who have that same sort of infectious energy in
Yeah.
D-Scoop. Are you able to harness, your colleagues and the
Mm.
positivity of
Mm.
D-Scoop in any kind of way?
Darren, Chris, let me give you a short answer to it. So when I was first introduced to this group, I really didn't know what to expect. But through my interactions with the team, it's just that, Darren, that you've just brought up, is that there's a lot of like-minded individuals with a lot of fire in the community that still wants to see the success of this. And that's what excites me about the group and the team, is that, and sometimes I almost think that a board meeting is too far away to start getting engaged with the guys again. Because, it's nice to speak to people that's also sharing in the same business. I'm very much, and Chris, you were pointing it out earlier. For me, is if I can speak about my business and someone else can take from it and it will assist them to growth, why must I play my cards too close to my chest? Um, and I like to use that in my business also, is let's give to the community, let's give to the people around us. And if this scoop is going to be a platform where we can collaborate and engage to hopefully build a stronger community, or to hopefully empower someone else that's in need of certain answers or value that they're seeking, then I want to like to be part of it if I can. So yes, Darren, the community came along my path, not knowing what to expect it. But now I'm in it now. So my blood was always red, but it seems like it's changing slightly to a turquoise bluish color. I'm not sure, so we'll see.
Nice. Now, I know in your entryway in your building, you have a map of all the places that you touch with your business.
Yeah.
How many connections now with D-Scoop do you have on that map?
Yeah, Chris, again, I think in this platform, that because I'm one of the board members on this group, like I stated earlier, suddenly the globe or the world as we know it becomes very small. I mean, there's guys sitting in Italy, there's guys sitting in America, there's guys sitting in Germany, and suddenly you realize by picking up your phone or just going to WhatsApp and going into the group, you can start speaking to people and you can start asking for questions. And maybe they've worked through some of the questions before and they can quickly answer you back. But again, if they haven't, at least the community is there to brainstorm it with you. So again, I mean, I've built relationships now from America to India to Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and it excites me. And it's sad to say, I think you guys, when I was offline, were talking about the Scoop event that's coming up. And I pretty much would have loved to be part of it, because I think it would have been so nice just to meet some of the guys in person. But yet again, virtual makes these things quite easy for us, and we can still engage with one another. And hopefully time will come where we will be able to sit around the table and converse in more personal effect.
Awesome. Darren, you have any more questions?
I don't.
Oh, then we got to do some fun ones.
Okay.
All right. Now, we've asked this of a lot. Recently, we've added these fun questions,
Yes.
Tertius, and the
No
first,
wrong answer.
the first
No
one,
wrong.
the first one I always ask.
It's the fun. That's my favorite one, Chris.
C, M, Y, or K?
C, M, Y, or K? First, tell me what does each one stand for? Or we're just referring to colors here? Because there's that song also.
Just colors.
Okay, so I would like to say, sure, it's a difficult one. Let's go with cyan. Let's go with cyan.
Okay. All right. I think that's the first cyan we've gotten.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that's number 1%. We should start a scoreboard.
We're going to now. Absolutely. All right. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Um, let me quickly think. Favorite movie? I think it was it was Top Gun. Recently, Top Gun Ultimate Movie. Seen it 6 times. I went for the grand opening in Leicester Square also. It was my ultimate favorite movie. So, hands down, Top Gun.
Nice. Now you're talking about the new Top Gun.
Yes, new Top Gun. Yeah. No, the new one.
Excellent. All right. So in your own movie, who plays you?
Sure. My own movie. Now, I must give me some time, Chris, to think about that.
While you're thinking of it, I just want to mention that you could probably play yourself.
Oh, can I? Can I play myself? Okay.
You could probably play yourself. That's probably too easy to answer, but I feel like you could pull it off.
I think I will do myself then, Darren. I think so.
Okay.
All right. I like it. All right. Favorite activity when you're not working on the business?
So I'm a fitness fanatic. So it most probably will be, unfortunately, the weight section of the gym. I enjoy that. That's to clear my mind. And then most probably nature. I'm very fond of nature and hikes and just being in the outdoors.
All right. Favorite vacation?
Vacation will be most probably Switzerland. It will be in the mountains. It must be snow. I want to ski. I want to be locked in a cabin. Good fire, good wine. I think that's ultimate.
That sounds amazing.
Wait.
One time.
Wait. Skiing?
Skiing? Yeah.
Now, is there a lot of skiing in South Africa?
I would at least try it. I would do that. So.
All right. Well, those are finish my questions. Do you have anything left, Darren?
No, just an appreciation for you joining us. It's been a very fun conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tertius. This has been fantastic.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and all the best for 2023.